most red light therapy devices on the market don't work. Red light therapy has become an incredibly popular treatment modality for treating joint issues and skin issues, muscle pain, digestive problem, and even hair regrowth. But what makes a red light therapy device effective? And what do you need to look out for before spending potentially hundreds or thousands of dollars? Let's start with some of the questions you might want to ask yourself before you pull the trigger. Number one is, what's your budget? The lowest priced devices that I've reviewed and that I recommend cost less than $200, but they're only effective for skincare applications. If you want to reduce fine lines and wrinkles, etc., improve the appearance of your skin. If you want to have a device that can treat joint pain and muscular issues, that can penetrate deep into your tissue, you might have to pay significantly more. And there are even some full-size red light therapy panels that might cost over $1,000, like the one that I have in my office on the back here. The second question is, what are you trying to accomplish? Again, if you're trying to treat skin issues, maybe fine lines, wrinkles, hair growth, joint tissues, all of those require different type of devices, different type of frequencies potentially, different light dosing. And so it's important to understand and to match the device or your use case with the device you're trying to buy. The next question, you might not have thought about this, but how disciplined are you when it comes to using the device? There are a couple of devices that you can just, wear and go about your day. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing. They are passive devices at the end of the day that you can just wear. There are others where you have to sit in front of a panel, where you have to wear a mask maybe, where you have to, rub the device on your skin, whatever. And what you have to do with the device or how active you have to be involved in the treatment very often then determines how likely you're to use the device consistently, because consistency is very important with most red light therapy treatment modalities. And so if the device requires you to do something, to take time out of your day, and after a week or so you get sick of doing that, you don't want to do it anymore because you don't have the time, then it was probably a poor investment. It's not going to help you. Another question is, do you travel a lot? If so, you might want a device that you can take with you that's not bulky, that comes maybe in a little travel case, that's easy to charge, etc. So you can take it with you in your bag, in your purse, what have you. Do you plan on sharing the device with family members? And if that's the case, then maybe a device with a good battery life is important, because there is nothing worse than, you needing the device and then it's empty because your spouse has just used it before you. We've run into those issues between my wife and I. We both come back from CrossFit, we are beat up, we have, aches and pains, what have you. One of us wants to use the device and it's empty because the other one has just used it and forgot to recharge it. And then the last question is, are you making the proper lifestyle choices to support your treatment protocol? Many conditions, unless it's an acute injury, are often caused or exacerbated by poor lifestyle choices, poor diet, poor sleep, etc. And so if you're not making the right lifestyle choices in combination with using red light therapy, then the treatment or the red light therapy device might either be less effective or not effective at all. So those are some of the questions, you might want to ask yourself. And I have a detailed blog post that goes into all of those factors that you might want to consider and all of those questions you want to ask yourself. I'm going to link it down below, so check that out if you want to have more information on how to respond to those questions and how to answer those questions and what they might mean in the context of you making a purchasing decision. Next, let's get to the meat of the video, and that is the key factors to consider when shopping for a red light device. And the first factor is the type of light the device emits, because the name red light therapy device can be a little bit misleading, because most red light therapy devices, especially those that are used for treating joint pain, cartilage regrowth, etc., and even hair regrowth, they use a combination of red and near infrared light. Red light is obviously visible, near infrared light is not visible, but they often work in combination to deliver the desired benefits. There are some devices that are purely using red light, but those are usually limited to skincare applications. So if you want to do anything beyond skincare, you typically need a combination of red and near infrared light. So that's important to consider and to ask the question, what type of light do you get from the device you're interested in? The second one, closely related to that, of course, are the wavelengths that are emitted by the device. And there is a huge database by now based on scientific evidence and studies and tests that kind of show the efficacy of certain wavelengths for specific conditions like joint and tissue repair, general wellness, like skincare. They all leverage different wavelengths. Again, in my blog post, I'm going to point out the specific wavelengths that have been shown to be most beneficial for specific use cases. But just to give you an example, for joint and deep tissue repair, the 620 to 650 nanometer frequencies, which is red light, have been shown to be incredibly beneficial for that. And from an infrared or near-infrared perspective, the 808 to 830 nanometer bandwidth has been shown to be very effective. There are some other wavelengths that can help as well, but those are the ones that are incredibly popular for joint and deep tissue repair. For general wellness, like skincare applications, 620 to 660 nanometers on the red side and 830 to 850 nanometers in the near-infrared spectrum. The third component is light intensity. So how strong is the light that's being emitted by the source? And of course, there are different types of light sources. There are LEDs, light emitting diodes that are very popular because inexpensive, and there are lasers. And they have different characteristics and influence the angle of which the light is emitted. A narrower angle typically means more penetration depth. A wider angle is more coverage, but less penetration depth. And so, but going back to light intensity, it's incredibly important to find a device that emits at the proper intensity, a high enough intensity, so you get the proper light dosage, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But just to give you a couple of examples of what you might be looking for in terms of light intensity. The Kinetian Move Plus Pro device that I use for joint and muscle repair, if I ever have issues, injuries, whatever, emits 750 milliwatts per square centimeters in total. And that's split across 3 different modules. And each module has approximately or emits 250 milliwatts per square centimeter. So that's roughly what you need for deep tissue penetration. The Mito Pro 1500, that full-size red light therapy panel that I use for whole body treatments, for skin treatments, etc., emits 170 milliwatts per square centimeters. And the facial mask that I use for, just cosmetic issues, or, that my wife uses it as well, emits somewhere between 30 to 55 milliwatts per square centimeters. Now here, we deal with very close approximation to the skin. We don't need a lot of penetration depth, and that's why you can get away with less intensity or reduced intensity to treat, skin problems. The same is with solar wave, that wand my wife uses to, reduce fine lines and wrinkles, etc., emits somewhere between 40 to 45 milliwatts per square centimeter. So the bottom line why I'm telling you this is, it again depends on the use case of how much light intensity or emissivity or irradiance that you require to achieve a certain goal. Again, skin type of issues require less. Deep tissue penetration, joint, tissue, etc., requires a higher intensity. Dosing is another very important factor, and dosing really is combines several of those factors I've already mentioned, including the distance from the light source to your tissue. So, taking a red light therapy device and holding it a foot away is probably not going to do anything to you. You need to have it at a certain distance to the target tissue. The wavelength, the intensity, and the angle, again, depending on if you're using LEDs or lasers or a combination thereof, those factors together determine the dosing. And the dosing ultimately is what delivers those benefits. If the dosing is off, if it's not right for the type of tissue you're treating or trying to treat, you're not going to get any benefits. So that's important. And then, of course, the target treatment area. It makes a difference if you want to treat your entire body, maybe your entire upper body or your back, or only, specific areas in your skin, maybe, the fine lines under your eyes or here on the side, or if you want to treat, a specific joint or a specific, muscle group. All of those determine what type of device, you want to use. For whole body treatments, obviously, it's much more effective to use a red light therapy panel like the Mito Pro 1500 I have than trying to use, small diodes, and moving them, across the entire body, because you'd be sitting there the entire day. So again, it depends what you want to target, and that determines what type of device you want to use. Ease of use is another important aspect, because if the device is difficult to use, you're probably not going to be using it very long. And as I've mentioned initially, consistency is key. So I prefer devices that I can use passively. For example, if I want to treat my entire body or parts of my body, I just move my Mito Pro 1500 handle right next to me, and I can treat, that side of my body while working on the computer. Then I move it to the other side, treat the other side, The same is with Kinyan. I can just strap it on my shoulder, on my knee, whatever, and I can go about my day. It does its thing while I can do something else. And that's super important. Unless, of course, the treatment only takes 5 minutes, like that wand my wife uses, the solar wave, takes her 5 minutes. She does it, in the evening, maybe while reading a book, whatever, or it's part of her evening routine. Doesn't take very long. And, she uses it, regularly and consistently to get the desired results. If you have a device that is cumbersome to use, that you don't really want to use, you're not going to be using it very long. And so it's probably a poor investment. Then there are additional features you might want to consider. I've mentioned already, if you're traveling, maybe a travel pouch is important for you. If you have multiple family members using the device, good battery life is important. The ability to charge it quickly might be important. Maybe having different modes, different session length, etc. So all of those things can add to the usability of the device, which again potentially influences how consistently you're using the device. And then, of course, last but not least, brand reputation is important. If you go to a brand webpage and you see spelling errors and it looks like it's some foreign, China-made product that hasn't been, text hasn't been properly translated, you don't really know how customer support is, they are difficult to reach, they don't have a phone number where you can reach out to, etc. All of the things you want to take into consideration. And I've talked about a lot of those details on how and why and how I apply those considerations in my blog post. So check that out. I'm going to link it down below. But the bottom line really is you want to ask yourself those questions. You want to take those factors into consideration and really map your use case to the proper device. Not all red light therapy devices are created equal. In fact, there are very many that are incredibly useless, that don't work at all. Just getting a red light bulb and shining it on your face is likely not going to do anything. You need the right wavelengths, the right type of light, the right light emitting source, be it a diode, be it laser. You need, the right dosing, etc. All of those factors come together to provide benefits. And if something is off, you likely are not going to see the benefits. So check out my blog post for much more information. It also links then some of my favorite red light therapy devices. I also have a video on those. So check that out if you want to find out what are some of the devices that I'm using, that I've been using successfully, and that have been proven to deliver the benefits that they claim to be. With that, we're going to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, let me know. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't, let me know in the comments what I could have done better. Until next time.